Welcome, Taurus, to the month of June 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and or rising signs in the second zodiacal sign of Taurus the Bull. Okay, now on June 2nd, starting out, the month starts out with your ruling planet Venus in your third house of communications. Okay, so now on June 2nd, Pluto conjuncts the moon in your ninth house of higher education and philosophy and law. And what this can do for you is structurally, emotionally transform the way you see your stretch of the imagination, if you will, because this is also, in my opinion, another house where you can use your imagination, as when you do take also the house of higher laws of the higher mind and or long distance journeys to other lands, foreign lands. And so what I mean by that stretch of imagination is that you can transform your emotions in your ninth house with this conjunction at 22 hours 7 minutes into the day of June 2nd. Then on June 4th, Jupiter squares the moon once the moon goes into your 10th house of career and public standing and the ego. So Jupiter has been transiting your 7th house of others and partnerships, business partnerships, as well as significant others. This is the marriage house, as Libra naturally rules this house. So Jupiter squares the moon from your 7th to the 10th houses. You will have a bit of a maybe setback, hopefully not, but a challenge to how you feel about your career standing. And that's at 10 hours 55 minutes into the hour of June 4th. Then the moon goes into your 11th house of friendships, into its last quarter phase. So maybe you might want to think about or rethink about your possible deceptive friendships going on at this time, this month. And that's at 15 degrees Pisces, 60 minutes. And that happens on June 6th. And so, not to say that all friends could be possibly deceptive, but there could be some sort of deception with this last quarter phase, which also has that flavor of Neptune there in Pisces. Then on June 7th, the moon trines Venus in Cancer. So now we have a very harmonious energy from the moon to your ruling planet, Taurus, in your third house of communications and short distance travels. So perhaps you will realize that, okay, maybe that person wasn't so shifty or deceptive, and now you'll have emotional repartee, a flavor of emotional communication, which in this case will be highly harmonious. And then on June 9th, the moon goes into your 12th house, into your neighboring sign of Aries, and then in this case squares your ruling planet of Venus. So from the third house of the conscious mind in communications to your 12th house of the subconscious mind, where Pisces naturally resides, you now have a moon square Venus, which can possibly make you overindulge in like maybe too much talking or communicating with maybe siblings or neighbors, or in some way irritate or annoy, but not in a terribly bad way, because with moon in the 12th house, you'll want to be more reticent. And then on July 12th, Mercury in Gemini, in your second house of money, leaves Gemini and goes into your third house of communications in Cancer. Mercury enters, or ingresses as the proper terminology goes, in other words, meaning changing signs, ingresses. And so on June 12th, Mercury leaves your second house, goes into your third house. So now you'll have more of a pleasant speaking voice, maybe even a melodious tone to your speaking voice, as this is a very beautiful conjunction, as it were, as I've remembered thus far, when a native or someone that has this setup creates that way of communicating in such a very pleasant way of speaking, melodious, as I say. And then on June 13th, Venus then leaves your third house of communications and goes into your fourth house of the home, entering the sign of Leo. I might add that both of you, both you, Taurus, and Leo, are fixed signs, meaning stable. So now Venus entering your fourth house of the home gives you that, your ruling planet Venus gives you that even more sense of love for your home base. Then also on June 13th, the sun conjuncts the moon as well as the sun leaving Gemini and going into, oh, pardon me, I got ahead of myself. The moon comes into your second house of money, then conjuncting or becoming the new moon, as shown here. And so there you have a conjunction. That's at 7 hours 21 minutes on June 13th. Or excuse me, that's at 22 degrees 44 minutes. New moon. So now with the new moon, actually, I wanted to point this out too. This is your naturally residing house when Aries is on the first house cusp of the flat chart. And now that we're doing a sidereal transit chart, you now have, or now I'm trying to explain to you as I'm saying, is that this is your naturally residing house, Taurus, the house of money and what you value. So now with this new moon here, you can go within and find out what you value, as well as strike out on new paths of what you might find to be of earning value. Then on June 15th, on June 15th, Pluto opposes the moon. I believe this is the only opposition of this month of June. Pluto in your ninth house opposes the moon in Cancer, since Pluto's in Capricorn. So now you have an opposition from the third to the ninth houses at 7 hours and 22 minutes, halfway through the month. And can you believe the year's half over almost? I mean, already. I'm doing this on the 12th of May, but soon we will already be halfway through the year. And so now with this opposition, this can give you the awareness, or that point of awareness, as to how you communicate and in what way you communicate with, in some ways, siblings, neighbors, short distance travels, versus what it is you intrinsically value in a, maybe other culture, because this deals with foreign lands and long distance journeys and travel. So there may be a beautiful way that you open up in that area with that opposition, because it gives you that awareness. Then on June 18th, the moon moves into Leo, into your fourth house of the home, and then sextiles the sun. So from your fourth house to your second house, you now have this beautiful sextile energy, or 60-degree aspect to and through and along with this north node of the moon, along with the moon, flavored by your ruling planet Venus, all in your fourth house of the home, giving you much fulfillment. Because the dragon's head in karmic astrology, referring to the north node of the moon as the dragon's head, gives you that sense of fulfillment. And you will have a great sense of fulfillment on June 18th with this sextile from your naturally residing second house regarding some kind of money and what you value and everything. Then on June 20th, the moon in Virgo goes into its first quarter phase into your fifth house of romance and creativity. And this is where Leo naturally resides, the other fixed sign, as I pointed out. And so that's on June 20th, 29 degrees Virgo, 4 minutes. And with this, there becomes a square from the sun. Yeah, the sun squares the moon from your fifth to your second houses. And again, this gives you the impetus to start a new romance. And possibly you'll meet that or communicate. It might be a neighbor or someone nearby your home. And then finally on June 21st, the sun leaves Gemini and enters Cancer. The sun moves into your third house of communications, and which begins the longest day of the year. And then on June 22nd, Pluto squares the moon. So now the moon in your sixth house to your ninth house, again with a bit of a challenging angle. So three signs away, 90-degree angle from your sixth house of health and work and service given. So, and this is Virgo's naturally residing house, though you have Libra here. And with the moon in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn, you can make great strides as far as what you do for work and how you value your health from a very manifesting. You can manifest in a very transformational way this wonderful square angle. I love the squares. They're a quick, almost in a sense, a quick fix, but they give you the impetus, the drive, you know. Then on June 24th, the moon goes into your seventh house of relationships, joining along here with Jupiter there, and trines Mercury. So now, moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Cancer, very harmonious trine between how you communicate with your significant other or business partners. And then on June 26th, once the moon goes into your 8th house, into the sign of Sagittarius, it then squares Neptune. So moon square Neptune. So now from the 11th house to the 8th house, this square entails mutable energy, being that this is a mutable fire sign and a mutable water sign. This gives you the impetus or drive to seek or ask of your friends, or one of those GoFundMe pages type things, because this deals with groups, other people's resources. Then on June 28th, the moon then becomes full when it opposes the sun in Cancer, and then the moon in Capricorn here from your 9th to your 3rd houses. So here again, there's a beautiful flow of communication this month with, as I said prior, how your ruling planet harmoniously flowed with when Mercury and Venus were together. But you can hold on to that vibe and go with it, you know. And then on June 29th, Mercury finally leaves your 3rd house of communications, leaving Cancer and entering the sign of Leo into your 4th house of the home. So once again, here we have a possibly very like sweet nothings going on, because Leo's a very romantic sign, and Mercury, Venus, and the North Node here, all in your 4th house of the home. Your ruling planet being also in the sign of Leo this month will possibly help you, maybe if you're shy, come out of your shell and express very romantic longings toward someone in your home. And that happened on the very last day of the month, June 29th. And with that, Taurus, I want to wish you a very beautiful summer and the longest day of the year. Feel free to give it a thumbs up, comment down below, or subscribe to. And thank you very much for looking up to the North Star. Bye for now.